أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإني أعوذ بك وذريتها من الشيطان الرجيم ربي أعوذ بك من تحت الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق أعوذ بالله استغفر الله أعوذ بالله أعوذ بالله شر استغفر الله العظيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Astaghfirullah bihi, Hadia Sheikh Sufi Ba, Hadia Sheikh Zulu, Barke Sheikh Rahman Ba, Barke Sheikh Ayaba Bey, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa taqabbal minni wajhika al-karimi qawlita iman alayka bi astaghfirullah bihi. Astaghfirullah al-azim wa atub ilayhi min zawahirin wa min ghayub. أستغفر الله العظيم وأتوب إليه من ظواهر ومن غيوب سألته بياك وجلاه مغفرة من جملة المناهي تبت له من جملة سجائري مع صبائري ومن دمائري أغفر لك في كل ما تقدم وما تأخر وما بينهما فإني أظن وزدني وما وعملا وأدبا وفاما ربي اكشف العلوم النافية واجعل آياتي من شر إيمانية اكشف لي الأسرار والغوامض يا خير من كشف السر غمدا اجمع جميع ما تفرق لدى فتي من الكريم وسفير قلدا بكل التفاكر لازم يا ربي بيكون وتعسيما كلاميا قبلي يا أكرم في التلاوة خيرا كاترا منك واللاوة فريق لي على في آياتي واجعل فؤادي واتنا لياتي قبلي كوني بشرى كل من يأتوب كل ظواهر حب مع الغيوب يا بلا نكون به تهيرا من الذنوب والمعاصي ولا فاتية لك ولا أذنة التي وإلى متكم برحمتك يا رحمن يا رحيم أعوذ بكلمات الله تمات من شر ما خلق أعوذ بكلمات الله تمات من شر ما خلق أعوذ بكلمات الله تمات من شر ما خلق استغفر الله العظيم يا رحمن يا رحيم ربي بما يشرح لسانك الفجاء بجاه عبد من الله قد جاء ربي بما يشرح لسانك الفجاء بجاه عبد من الله قد جاء ديري رب كريم لا شريك له وسارجا يمان ساتيا ملاء محمد صلوات الله في عبادي عليه في حزبه كودي بإقلاء هو إلى ذي أما مواهبه جملة الكاكي ما يختار من مراء ناجيته جلاء وحمانك رحماني سخري مهد وكولي ملغن بريا رحمن وبجامع الكاكي رحمتامان يمي شريمان كوران أقراء أمة المصطفى كل ما استداتين وتحمل كاكايا من جادهم مداء يا مالك الملك يا من جل أنك وادين يرحم جميع واريحان مداء يا مالك الملك يا من جل أنك وادين يرحم جميع واريحان مداء يا مالك الملك يا من جل أنك وادين يرحم جميع واريحان مداء وهوت ما كنا الكلب من درارين بجاه عبد من الله قد جاء الفاتحة أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد Allahu samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع إنه إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع إنه إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع إنه إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره والمقدار العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كاف ها يا عين صاد كاف ها يا عين صاد كاف ها يا عين صاد كفيت كل درار له بسر لا إله إلا الله habli muradiaka ma'wahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu yasiri al-usra kama'wahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu ala nabi al-mustafa lahu salibi la ilaha illallahu salatul mu'min bi salam alahi bisiri la ilaha illallahu kaf ha ya hain sud kaf ha ya hain sud kaf ha ya hain sud kufitu kula dirarin yalahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu habli muradiaka ma'wahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu yasiri al-usra kama'wahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu halan nabiyil mustafi lahu salibi la ilaha illallahu salatul mughni bi islamillahi bisiri la ilaha illallahu kaf ha ya hain sud Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kaf ha ya hain sod. Kaf ha ya hain sod. Kufitu kula dararin yalahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu. Abdi muradiya kama abahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu. Yasiri al-usra kama abahu bisiri la ilaha illallahu. Allah Nabi il-Mustafa lahu salibi la ilaha illallahu salatun mu'min bi salam alahi bi siri la ilaha illallahu Astaghfirullah, 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 العظيم يا الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه هدية خليفة الإسلام سورة الشعر أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنكر ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Did we not expand for you, O Muhammad, your breast, and we removed from you your burden, which had weighed upon your back, and raised high for you in your repute? For indeed, with hardship will be ease. Indeed, with hardship will be ease. So when you have finished your duties, then stand up for worship, and to your Lord direct your longing. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Salatan tunjina biha min jahmil ahwali wal afat. Wa taqdirina biha jamil hajat. Wa tutahhiruna biha min jami sayyat. وترفعنا بها عندك أعلى درجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد صلاة تنجينا بها من جميع الأحوال والآفات وتقضي بها جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وترفعنا بها عندك أعلى درجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلاة تنجينا بها من جميع الأحوال والآفات وتقضي بها جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وترفعنا بها عندك أعلى درجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. O Allah, send upon our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a prayer through which you deliver us from all terrors and tribulations, and through which you fulfill for us every need, and through which you purify us from every sin, and through which you raise us to the loftiest of degrees in your presence, and through which you cause us to reach the furthest limit in all forms of goodness in this life and the next life after death. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma asli ummata Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma farij ummati Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma irham ummata Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma asli ummata Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma farij ummati Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma irham ummata Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma asli ummata Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma farij an ummati Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma irham ummata Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allah make easy for the community of the Prophet Muhammad. Allah make a way for the community of the Prophet Muhammad. O Allah, have mercy on the community of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Barke Sreen Salihu. 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 Ameen. 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 Ooh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Juma Mubarak. Juma Kareem. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Beloved light family, we pray that everyone is well. Ya Allah. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. We thank Allah for gathering us again for another Friday night Darrah. We pray that everyone is in the highest of spirits. We pray that everyone, if not, is full of food and sustenance, is full of love and light. Alhamdulillah. May Allah continue to guide our beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba in all of his travels. Every step, may he be protected. Every breath, may his station be raised and his light increase. Ya Allah, we thank you for him. May you increase our love for the Sheikh forever and ever and ever. Increase his station forever and ever and ever. Darrah Sheikh Sufi Ba, Darrah Sheikh Zulu, Barake Sheikh Rahman Ba. May Allah be pleased with him. We thank Allah for all of you, all of who, and we are definitely thankful for our beloved guest speaker this evening, the light being the Master Maulana, Dr. Ahmad El. We thank you, good brother, for your time, your wisdom, for joining us yet again to give your teachings to the Darrah. Forgive us for being long-winded. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Beloved doctor, the floor is yours. Astaghfirullah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Appreciate your sentiments. Sheikh Mustafa. All right, so we're going to jump straight into this lecture. It's the essentials of Qi-Gong. And I'm not going to get into any other fancy terminology in regards to Qi-Gong, which is just energy work or energy cultivation. An ancient name for Qi-Gong is Dao Yin, which is a combination of breath and movement, which is Qi-Gong, but Dao Yin is a more ancient name. And also underneath that, you have Qi-Gong, which is internal movement and internal breath work. And you also have Qi-Gong, which is more external, but you're still combining the internal and external with the Qi-Gong. So now I'm going to share my screen. And let's see, pull up a document. Okay, 1 second. Okay, bear with me 1 second.
Just let us know if there's a share anything, Dr.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, it's not there. I'm trying to find the document I have in my save files. Let's see. Now let's see if I could go back and share this. You have to forgive me because I'm not computer savvy. How do I get into my documents in my laptop? Mm. All right, just give me a few more, a minute or two. If not, I'll just have to read the document. I wish I could share it though. Hold on. There we go. Can everyone see it?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, good. All right, let's see. Let me see if I can move this. Hold on 1 second. All right, so the essentials of Qi-Gong. So this is an introduction to Qi-Gong. What is Qi-Gong? Qi-Gong, pronounced Qi-Gong, is an ancient system of mind-body practice that integrates posture, gentle movement, breath regulation, and focused intention to cultivate and harmonize the body's vital energy, known as Qi. And it is considered both a health practice and a path of internal cultivation. And in modern terminology, they'll say it has its roots in traditional Chinese medicine, but Qigong predates traditional Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine was invented in, I believe, the 60s after the Cultural Revolution. So during the Cultural Revolution, no one was permitted to practice any type of medicine, acupuncture, Qigong. They couldn't practice martial arts, nothing of the sorts. And a lot of people had to flee to Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, and other places in the Far East. And then when the Cultural Revolution was over, the government, Chinese government, decided to pull back in the people if they can harness them and the knowledge. And with that, they created traditional Chinese medicine. So they got acupuncturists together, Tuina, which is like massage bodywork people together. They got the cupping people together, the herbalists together, the pulse masters together, et cetera, and created traditional Chinese medicine. So I would say modern times, yes, it has its roots in traditional Chinese medicine, but no, traditional Chinese medicine has its roots in Qigong. Okay. And in regards to that, Taoist and Buddhist philosophy and martial arts all has tenets of Qigong. Okay, Qigong is often described as the art of energy training. So, while physical exercises builds muscles and aerobic capacity, Qigong specifically works on the body's energetic network, similar to like the acupuncture meridians, and also the extraordinary vessels, which are like the deeper aspects of the meridians. And you also have collateral meridians as well, and other meridians. So there's several different types of meridians and deeper aspects of the body that are worked when you're cultivating energy work or practicing Qigong. All right, so this optimizes the flow of vital energy through all the systems of the body, meaning your organ systems, the skin, cardio system, pulmonary system, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, now the core purpose of Qigong, like the essential purpose of Qigong is the regulation and unification of the body, which in pinyin is Xing, which is the physical alignment and relaxation. So one must be relaxed while they're practicing. The physical alignment must be on point as well, because if the alignment is off, it throws off the energy. Just like in Kung Fu, for example, your alignment has to be on point. You're practicing Tai Chi, which is also Kung Fu. The alignment has to be on point because the physics of the body has to be correct in order for the energy to travel properly. Okay. Number two, the breath or Qi, the smooth and natural respiratory flow of the breath. And in regards to certain systems of Qigong or most systems, as you contract the body or do like a contraction movement, you inhale. As you expand, it's an exhalation. So you contract with inhale, expand, there's an exhalation there with the breath. And the breath always has to be continuous. Also with Qigong, there are certain systems to where you hold the breath, which I won't touch on, but there's breathing and there's also holding the breath, non-breathing Qigong as well. All right. And third, we have mind, intention, or the E. E is also translated as the intellect, which is part of the spleen's, I would say, mental aspect of the body. The spleen is the E, or the intellect. All right. So calm awareness and focus attention. So with that calm awareness, you should always have extra attention to when you're performing your exercises. There shouldn't be any thoughts or any distractions of what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do now, what you should have done yesterday or in the past. Everything is extra attention and awareness when you're doing your exercises, or your Qigong exercises, your Qigong movements, even like your martial arts movements, if you're doing your forms, Tai Chi, if you're doing your forms, if you're extrapolating individual movements out of, say, for example, Chen system, they have silk rolling exercises that are precursor, that is a precursor to the form, the Chen form. Okay. Now, when 1, 2, and 3 harmonizes body, breath, and mind intention, the nervous system settles, the organ functions improve, emotional tension, emotional tensions dissolve, and a deeper sense of presence and vitality becomes available. So it's been scientifically proven that Qigong and breath work rewires and resets the nervous system, also improves organ functions, also and helps with the mind, the tension, the anxiety. Harvard wrote a book on Tai Chi like 7 years ago. It's a pretty good book. It's all about scientific evidence on the efficacy of Tai Chi. And of course, Tai Chi being a martial system, it has Qi-Gong inside of the system. And every good Chinese martial arts system should have like a Qi-Gong regimen in there to build your energy and power, and also for health purposes. Okay. So also when you're practicing Qi-Gong, you're kind of giving yourself like an acupuncture treatment as well when you're practicing Qi-Gong. So you're regulating mind, body, and spirit. And when you regulate mind, body, and spirit, you become Qi-Gong. You have that extra attention again, and you also have that awareness as well. Okay. Now going into the historical background here, Qi-Gong, like I said, dates back, several thousands of years, and it evolved through several streams. We have your medical Qi-Gong, you have your Taoist Qi-Gong, you have your Buddhist Qi-Gong, and you have your martial Qi-Gong. So those 4 are like the main system streams of Qi-Gong. So a good reference that you can buy if the book is still in print is Qi-Gong Empowerment by, I think I have the book around here somewhere, by Master Shou Lu Yang. So hold on 1 second. You might be able to find it on Amazon. It's a good read. And I've had the book for about almost 20 years. So here's the book here, if you can see it. Excuse the background, but this is it here. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can I won't mess with it. But it's by Master Shou Yu Liang. So it's a pretty good read on Qigong. He has some exercises in there as well. But with Qigong, you should have a qualified teacher to teach you Qigong. Okay, you should definitely have a qualified teacher, and not learn Qigong, Tai Chi, or any internal martial arts off the internet. You should have a qualified teacher first who can make sure your alignment is sound to where the energy can move properly. And then once your alignment and your rooting is, I would say, satisfactory, then you can go ahead and learn anything you want online, and you can actually correct those online because you can see that the movement is incorrect, and most of the people have these programs with Tai Chi and Qi-Gong and so on and so forth. And also there's this craze now with like Tai Chi. You have these AI guys, six-pack and muscles, talking about Tai Chi will give muscles. BS. It's nonsense. Tai Chi is not giving you any muscles. If you practice the form, it depends. If you learn a long form, you practice and practice. So yes, it will like definitely help you lose weight and tone you up, tone up your legs. But as looking like a bodybuilder or like a fitness athlete, no, don't believe the hype with that. Don't believe the hype. And if you look at a lot of the ancient masters in like Qi-Gong or Tai Chi, Bagua, Xingyi, they didn't have that like that physique of like a boxer or something where you have like total six-pack, you're cut up and lean. It's not like that because in certain circumstances, with the exception of like the Wudang and Shaolin monks, they have the tones, but they're also doing calisthenics with the combination of the stretching and the moving, which makes the joints and bands and tendons and ligaments more pliable so they can build that strength and not lose any speed. Right, so I digress. Okay, so across these traditions, the unifying principle remains change your chi and your life will change as well. And that again goes into the extra attention and awareness of your practice. That's like priority as well as relaxation. Okay, and moving on to the pillars and practice of Qi-Gong, we have the three regulations on San, which is three, and Tiao. San Tiao is the three regulations. Now, with the three regulations, we have regulation of the body, Tiao Shen. And that begins with releasing unnecessary muscular tension and aligning the skeleton so that the body is relaxed yet supported. A well-aligned body allows qi to move freely. So the key components include balance, relaxed joints, which is softening the hinge points like the shoulders, elbows, wrists, the loosening of the spine, and grounding through the feet. But to expound on that, the balance stance, soft knees always. Also, the alignment of the knees, never letting your knees moving past your toes. Depending on what system of Qi-Gong you're practicing, you should always remain relaxed. And you should be so much relaxed that your muscles feel heavy and that your muscles are sagging off of your bones, which will automatically soften the hinge points. So you want the shoulders to be relaxed always. The chest, concave and relaxed, which kind of rounds and spreads the upper back and the mid back and the lower back. And soft knees. You never lock your knees when you're training Qi-Gong either, because you can pass out because the energy can like get stagnant in that area to where, you'll pass out or just fall to the ground. The loosening of the spine. There are exercises that do loosen the spine. Your spine is your information highway from your brain. So all the signals from your brain moves through your spine to your muscles and the rest of your body, your organs. So you have afferent and efferent signals that move back and forth. So Qi-Gong helps to strengthen that connection. And then moving on to number 2, regulation of the breath, or Tiao Xi. And the breath is the bridge between the body and the mind. That is so true. Qi-Gong uses natural, unforced breathing methods that gradually deepen and slow the breath. Okay, methods may include abdominal breathing, yes, reverse breathing. Okay, I'll touch on reverse breathing. So with abdominal breathing, as you inhale in, the abdomen expands. It's not just the front of the abdomen, it expands 360 degrees like a balloon. So as you inhale, you have that expansion. So from the front, the sides, 360 degrees up, down, to the sides, to the back. where your kidneys are, it expands out, and also to your perineum expands. And as you exhale, um, it contracts. Your abdomen contracts. The entire ball of balloon contracts. Now, with reverse breathing, as you inhale, the belly or stomach goes in, and as you exhale, the belly goes out. So that's reverse breathing, as opposed to abdominal breathing. As you inhale, the abdomen, everything expands, which is like a natural breathing as well. And then as you exhale, abdomen contracts. Reverse breathing, as you inhale, you pull in the abdomen, and as you exhale, you expand the abdomen. So that builds more power, more martial power. There are certain Qi-Gong systems that focuses mainly on reverse breathing for cultivation, like the Mopai system. I don't know if you ever saw that video with the guy on the internet, Dynamo Jack with John Chen. He puts newspaper on the concrete floor while he's being filmed, maybe like 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. He puts his hand over the newspaper and sets the newspaper on fire. But he was a high level Mopai master. I think there were like 72 levels. He was only up to like level 30 or 40 or something like that. But anyways, just wanted to share that with you. Okay, breathing into different parts of the body. It's more so the mind as you breathe into different parts of the body in regards to addressing certain ailments. But where the chi goes, where the mind flows, or where the attention is put to the mind, where the mind has its attention at, that's where the energy will go. So the breath kind of works the same way, because it's the mind and the breath that you're leading into different parts of the body. And then there are more advanced stages of that too, which I won't go into. And then coordinating breath with movement. So again, using this, as you contract, you inhale. As you expand, exhale. So as you contract, you inhale. As you expand, it's an exhalation. Okay, and the primary rule with the breath, you have to remain relaxed. It has to be quiet and natural. Also, breathing through your nose and out through your nose. So in through your nose and out through your nose. And the breath has to be quiet and consistent. I know in the past I touched on abdominal breathing and Wim Hof breathing in the seconds in regards to the breath of inhalation, exhalation. So normally, like when you start off in like a Taoist, say like a Taoist business school program, you do 6 seconds on the inhalation, 6 seconds on the exhalation, on energy, still energy cultivation. But when you have the movements involved, you can still focus on the 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, which is 12 seconds. Divide that by 60, you have 5 breaths per minute. So the slower you breathe and the deeper you breathe, it's the more your body benefits, the more energy you build, the more you oxygenate your cells, because within the trillions of cells that we have in our body, the powerhouse of each cell is a mitochondria, and that mitochondria runs off of oxygen as well. So if there are certain issues in regards to not taking in the breath as much as you can, shallow breathing also helps, I won't say help, it contributes to mental issues like anxiety, depression, worry, things like that. So it is very important to learn how to regulate your breath and extend the breath, and really practice on extending it. And like in advanced studies, you can extend to where you do, 30 seconds on the inhalation, 30 seconds on the exhalation. So that's 1 breath per minute. Or you can do 15 seconds on the inhalation, 15 seconds on the exhalation. So that's 2 breaths per minute. Or you can do 10 seconds on the inhalation, 10 seconds on the exhalation. It's like 3 breaths per minute. So you can gradually increase your breaths per minute, especially when you're doing like standing or still cultivation, or seated cultivation. If you're doing movements, you won't extend it that long, but maybe like 4 seconds, 6 seconds, you can also play with it as well. 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, depending on the exercise. Okay, and again, the breathing should be through the nostrils. Also, the tip of the tongue should also touch the palate of your mouth as you're doing these exercises. Now, moving on to number 3, regulation of the mind. Tao Jin, Jin, I believe, translates as heart. Tao Yi, ease the mind or the intellect. Calming and centering the mind is essential. Qigong is never merely movement. It is movement plus awareness, that extra attention that I talked about before. Extra attention and awareness that's very important. Where the mind goes, the Qi follows. Okay. Practitioners, learn to release distracting thoughts and cultivate a gentle, steady focus. Okay. Common practices include feeling sensations inside the body. You feel it, but don't get caught up on those sensations. Directing intention along energy pathways. Again, that goes with the mind and where you want to focus on. Using imagery to guide Qi, you can, usually with colors, that's more advanced. But if your mind is all over the place, that's not a Qigong program. You should start off with, and if it's a good Qigong program, you work with sensation building, actually really purging first, which we'll get into, then building, regulating and building. Okay. And developing present moment awareness. Again, that's extra attention and awareness. So we have to stress the extra attention and awareness when you're doing these exercises. Qigong, Tai Chi, Bagua Xingyi, that is very important. Okay. Listen, a quiet mind allows Qi to gather, circulate, and strengthen. Give me 1 second. Now, what makes up a good and foundational Qigong program? A good program will have purging exercises or purgation. And then once you purge, you regulate, and after you regulate, you strengthen the body. So with like purgation, you're purging mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual traumas from the body or bodies. And when I say bodies, according to like Taoist mysticism studies, that they count 3 bodies, even though there are other systems have more bodies than that, but they're all intertwined with each other. You can break it down more into more bodies. But since we're speaking on Qigong and Taoist Qigong and cultivation exercises and Buddhist Qigong exercises, we'll stick with the 3 bodies. The physical body, energy body, spirit body. Okay. So purging those traumas out of the bodies is important because you don't want to amplify any type of traumas that has happened to you in the past, recent, past, or in the past in itself. Sometimes we hold traumas in our tissue. We hold traumas in our energy body. We hold traumas in our spiritual body. And those things can be amplified if you just go into a program, say, I just want to build and cultivate, or I want to heal this. Sometimes you're not going to heal. And then you can like build up to a point to where, psychosis starts to set in. And Qi deviations because you haven't purged or resolved any type of traumas that, a person or that person has had in their life. You have to purge. You have to purge before you start any type of Qigong exercises. So, for example, like for serious ailments, like I'll give you a story first. So, like my medical Qigong teacher, I know when he was in Austin and Colorado and in California, he was an oncology master. So he was actually healing people of cancer because he did the work. So with his oncology patients, and he was working with oncologists as well. He was in Austin, Texas, the acupuncture school there. You have to clear and purge those energies before you even give a prescription for oncology. You have to find the root. So, for example, with Western medicine, they say the number one killer is stress. But what's underneath that umbrella of stress? The heart disease and cancer. So you have to purge. And once you purge, you have to find out why, or the causing factors of why, that illness or ailment has developed. Sometimes it's like environmental, or like your domestic life, or your job, people at the job, or stressful job, stressful home. And then you have outside factors as well. The true environmental factors, like where are you living? Is there like radon? Is your house over like a big pile of radon? Things like that you have to take into consideration. So you would have to get that person out of that environment and get them with like-minded people, or people who share the same ailments, and keep them away from family, friends, the job, everything, and have them do purging exercises. Because the purging exercises, especially the system that I study, is made to break you. I mean, break you as in breaking down, crying, getting into the tissues, getting into the muscles, getting into the energy body, getting into the spirit body. So once you break the person, then you can prescribe exercises to help with treating the ailment. So I just wanted to share that story. And so we have purgation, purging mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual traumas from the body or bodies. It is dangerous for the practitioner not to purge. If one doesn't purge, they will amplify the negative energy and emotions in the body, and in turn can lead to serious deviations and side effects that will be difficult to reverse. True, that is true. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've been in clinical situations with it. So, okay, let me put a disclaimer out there. What I'm teaching is not approved by the FDA, blah, blah, blah. This is just information, educational purposes only, but they can still look up my teacher and look up Harvard as well, since they have the information now. Anyways, let me continue. All right, regulation. So we have purgation, regulation, tonification, cultivation. So regulation, that's the stabilization of the energy in the body prior to cultivating your energy or your qi. And then once you have everything purged and stabilized, then you work on cultivation. You can work on specific any type of ailments. Let's talk about any type of respiratory issues. There are specific exercises for the lungs that you can do to help strengthen the lungs, or regulate the lungs, or purge the lungs, regulate, and then you tonify the lungs. And that should help to alleviate and treat the root cause of what is going on in the body that is negative. Okay. And also, I also wanted to touch on something else, and I lost that train of thought. Mm-hmm. All right, so with Qi-Gong, some people, they'll find something online, which they'll have exercises to where you're moving, or like where you're doing dynamic postures, which is the moving postures, or you have static postures as well. And there are some cases when you're practicing static postures, and only static postures alone, sort of like with each one. Those who've been at the butterfly retreat, we work static postures. If you work the static postures long enough, you will. That's a purgation as well. So that's like purgation, regulation, and then later on tonifying. Because when you're doing those postures as you stand, and you shake and vibrate, that's shaking and like breaking up the stagnation and the traumas in the body as well. I've been in circles where we would stand for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. And after like 20 minutes, people stop crying and breaking down and shedding tears to where they have to like take a break and sit. But that's part of like purging, because those are traumas that were locked in the body or bodies. Right. And next, let's move on to the types of Qigong practices. So again, we have like the static posture, the standing. John Zhuang is like standing like a post. Also with John Zhuang, we have like certain Yichuan systems to where, like we did at the butterfly retreat, we went over 9 postures. And we held each posture for about a minute or two. Okay, so it's like standing postures held for several minutes. These develop internal power, alignment, and deep tranquility. It is also often called like standing meditation as well, or pose standing. So with that deep tranquility, when you get into that deep tranquility, and with the standing posture, sometimes your body or your bodies know what it needs. So if it needs to purge, especially when you're doing like the static postures, it's going to work on the tissues and start breaking things up to purge. Okay. And then you have like dynamic Qigong. That's all the moving postures, the moving Qigong that you would probably see online. Dong Gong. So it's like slow flowing movements that stimulate circulation, massages the organs, and opens the meridians. And most modern health Qigong forms fall under that category of like the dynamic movements. Okay. And also we're looking at massaging organs, the breath, which is, you can do that also seated and lying practices used for a deeper meditative work, breath training, and internal cultivation. And with that seated postures, when you're doing the breathing also massages the organs. When you do the abdominal breathing, which we touched on a few minutes ago, the abdominal breathing massages the organs because you have the diaphragm in the middle of the solar plexus area. So as you take in the breath, the diaphragm pushes down and massages all of the organs underneath it. So it's massaging the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the spleen, the stomach, the intestines, the appendix, all the way down to the bladder. And I think I mentioned about the ball before, even down to the bladder, to the uterus, to the prostate, ovaries, and testes with that deep breathing. And then as you exhale, there's a slight contraction, and that brings the diaphragm up to where it's like pushing on the lungs to expel the stale air. And it's also pushing on the heart. So it's massaging the lungs and the heart. And also, since we're on the topic of breathing, I think I had mentioned before, most people breathe like shallowly. And it's important to learn how to breathe deeply. Like, so your lungs contain 3 lobes. Most people breathe barely into the second lobe of the lungs. So the bottom lobe is not getting the oxygen and exercise or movement that it needs, so it starts to atrophy. So most people with a lot of respiratory issues, they're not breathing deeply, or sometimes they don't even have to transfer into respiratory. It can move to like digestive issues as well, because we're not taking in the breath, or it can, affect any of the organs, which will bring on any ailments dealing with the organs. So it's important to breathe deeply, not breathe with your chest. Breathe with your navel and try to take the breath in nice and smooth as you expand, but it's not forceful. But then as you exhale and contract, it's like a slight contraction, and then it pushes the air out. So when you learn to breathe that way, some people call it diaphragm breathing, and there's other systems that call it embryonic breathing, breathing like a baby, because babies breathe that way once they're born, because when they're in the womb, as a fetus, and the umbilical cord is connected to the placenta and then the navel. So the mother doesn't have a mechanism to feed the child. There's no mechanism to feed the child or to pull out the waste or give the baby the food or nourishment and also extract the waste. There's not a mechanism. That mechanism comes from the fetus in the womb, to where the say if this is the back and this is the stomach, that pumping mechanism is all through the baby here, even though the baby's in a sac of amniotic fluid. The belly is moving back and forth to extract the waste and take in nutrients. So again, when the baby's born, the baby breathes that way until it adapts to society, school, stress, exams, um, friends, people, parents too, parents, bad parents. So all that stuff tightens up the breathing. And you start to breathe up here in the chest. Then you have what you're going to do when you trying to figure out things in life, stress, you start to breathe up here. And if you join the military, they definitely tell you to breathe up here. They tell you to stand in attention, suck in the gut. All that chi raises up into the upper body. So people who experience a lot of panic attacks, that's more of the chi raising up the front. Those who have a lot of like trapezius and shoulder pain, neck pain, occipital pain, tension, headaches that comes up from the occipital area around the head to the face. That's the chi raising up through the back. Most people suffer from that type of energy moving up the back, which eventually tightens the muscles to where you develop knots. It's like, well, I don't lift weights and I have these so-called knots or fibers in my back. So when you press on it, they're like little balls. So that's the fibrous tissue just tight with the fascia. And you wonder why it's in existence, but you haven't lifted any weights to tighten that area up or to make that area hard. So with that lack of breathing and of course the stress, that's what creates the tension. Okay. And moving down to the seated and lying practices we touched on. You can lay down or be seated and practice your breath work and internal cultivation. I would suggest being seated if you don't have any serious ailments. If you wanted to like sit and practice your breathing, just the abdominal breathing, and then touching on the last part, the internal alchemy or nadan, um, or nadan, or you have nagong and weigong. Weigong again is the dynamic, but with the breathing, and then the nagong, which is almost the same as a nadan. Um, or Nagong is part of like the internal alchemy as well, and the Weigong. So they both are, which is Nadan or internal alchemy. Then all of this stuff is internal alchemy anyway. It's just not advanced Qi-Gong. It's also like just the basic Qi-Gong that you're doing because you're creating change. You're creating change and transformation of your three bodies. And then moving on to like the internal alchemy or the Nadan, yeah, there's higher levels of that too, which we won't touch on. And I want to come back to this page. I want to see if I can share another screen. I wish I was computer savvy, but I'm not. Okay, stop share. And let me go. Documents. Okay, Taiyang. All right, let me go back to screen share. Here. Can everyone see this document? I guess so. All right. So Let's look at the symptoms of what Qi-Gong can treat. And these are the symptoms, but of course, we're going into the root cause of what's going on. The symptoms are a manifestation of the root. So, of course, we have the root, which is, let's look at the kidneys and look at the bladder. Okay. Symptoms of deprived energy from the kidneys and bladder. We have adrenal weakness, back, hip, and knee problems, bladder infections and control, brittle bones or soft bones, cold hands and feet. So there's always like an aversion to cold. So winter, spring, summer, fall, you always want to cover up with a blanket, always cold. So that's like kidney chi, kidney bladder as well, because the kidneys and bladder, there are yin and yang pairs, or husband and wife pairs. So we have the husband and wife pairs, which we'll go over. So kidney and bladder, husband and wife pair. Kidneys the yin, bladder is the yang. Okay. We have dark um, and puffy circles around the eyes, but mainly underneath the eyes. You see people with like puffy, like real puffy, like puffiness underneath the eyes. Kidney chi is like severely depleted. Also, the emotion that is detrimental to the kidneys is fear. So fear and depression, they go together with the kidneys. And then we have edema and water retention. So that's also a circulation issue, because the kidneys and heart, they're yin pairs as well. So I won't get too much into it. So edema, water retention. So if you sit down and you sit down for too long, you always have swelling in the ankles, swelling in the lower legs. And if you press into that swelling, it takes a while for the skin to come back up. That's called skin turgor. That's a circulation thing. That's a kidney thing. So you want to work on like kidneys and heart in regards to Qi-Gong. Okay, also hot flashes, which also relates to the heart as well. Impotence and low libido, kidneys. So the kidneys also are the drive for all of your organs. It's also the drive for your endocrine system as well. So it's the drive. So when I to treat a lot of like females with fertility issues, and they'll have assisted fertility like IVF and things like that. And then when they'll have their endocrine panel done, it shows which hormones are low, which ones are normal, which ones are too high. But usually most of the time they're low. So when you check the kidney position on the pulse, it's the chi is like almost absent. So you have to boost the chi to help with like impotence, libido, fertility. So underneath that, yeah, okay, infertility. So infertility and sterility. So that's for both males and females. Okay, so look at males with when the males have reproductive issues. We look at morphology, motility, and the count. And if any of those are lacking, that's the kidneys. Okay, you have lethargy, fatigue all the time, loss of thinning hair, also premature graying, night sweats, especially with females. But that's part of, again, the hormones. Poor memory, premature gray, it's right there. Sciatica or lumbago, which is back pain with sciatica, sore throat in the morning, tight hamstrings, tinnitus, ringing in the ears, and urine problems. So tinnitus with the ringing in the ears, when they say low, it's sort of like a water rushing type of tinnitus. It's like a whoosh sound. Then you have high pitch, which is related to delivery, which is like the high pitch sound. Okay. Now let's look at the symptoms of the heart and small intestine meridian imbalance. So heart and small intestine, small intestine. Throat is so dry. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, heart and small intestine. Heart is yin, small intestine is yang. So we have abdominal pain, anemia. And I think anemia is there because Food absorption, excuse me, sorry for food absorption and blood production takes place mainly in the small intestine. So if there's a lack of absorption of the food, anemia is going to be present as well. And also with the heart relates to the blood because it moves the blood through the body. Okay. A feeling of anxiety and dread all the time. Excuse me. Digestive troubles that deals with the small intestine. Dream disturbed sleep. Elbow and shoulder pain. Hearing problems. Heart problems. Excuse me. Hot flashes. So we have kidneys and heart that I talked about before. Night sweats, excuse me, night sweats and hot flashes for like premenopausal and postmenopausal females. Hot and painful joints, like gout, lack of joy and lack of humor. Mouth and tongue sores all the time. The gums are sore, the mouth is sore, inside of your lips are sore, tongue is sore, but especially at the tip of the tongue, because the tip of the tongue, if there's like a lot of redness and heat, sometimes you'll have patches that's related to the heart. Neck pain, especially the back of the neck, that's the bladder channel, and the bladder and small intestine, they're yang pairs. I won't get too much into like yang pairs and yin pairs. Heart palpitations, poor circulation, so there's lack of sufficiency of the heart. Restlessness because of poor circulation and that anxiety. So you're always restless. And you have sleep problems. Again, it relates to dream disturbed sleep. Speech problems as well because the heart opens up into the tongue in Chinese medicine. Upper back pain, again, small intestine and bladder meridian, two yang pairs. Excuse me. And urine problems. Dealing with the small intestine in the heart. Usually like sandy urine, somewhat that is called, I forgot what it's called, but it's like once the kidneys, it's not filtering the way it does, and there's that heat of the heart and that small intestine heat, you'll have urine problems. Usually you'll have like a sandy type of urine and also wrist pain because the heart meridian crosses here the wrist. All right, next, moving on to the symptoms of the spleen and stomach. So the spleen is yin and the stomach is yang. So symptoms of spleen and stomach meridian imbalance. We have abdominal pain, achy and heavy limbs. And the spleen controls the muscles in Chinese medicine. So if the spleen energy is weak, you're always going to feel like your muscles are, you're always achy. Your limbs are going to feel heavy. When you're walking, it's like a struggle somewhat. Lift your arms, raise your hands, everything. You just want to just lay down and just not do anything. Again, we have anemia. Again, because the spleen in Chinese medicine helps with the transformation and transportation of the food that's in the stomach. So people who have like undigested food in their stool all the time, that's a sign of spleen weakness in Chinese medicine. Okay, then we have appetite, digestive problems, a lot of belching, a lot of gas, bruising easily. Again, that's the spleen and the muscles. Colic and indigestion, that's like spleen, and also the stomach. It could be stuff going on with the stomach, like the lining, like any type of inflammation, like gastritis, ulcers, things like that. Difficulty focusing, that's the spleen. When we looked at the last handout, we talked about the E, or the intellect or mind. So difficulty focusing, that's a spleen issue. Okay. Then we have headaches. Stomach meridian comes up into the, starts underneath the eyes right here. So headaches is related to the stomach and also spleen. Heaviness in the head, that could be dampness from the spleen, because the spleen likes to be dry, but if there's too much dampness in the body, the spleen first sends that to the lungs, and if the lungs can't handle it, then it sends it to the head. So you have like this heaviness or heaviness feeling in the head because you have dampness in the head, sometimes a lot of phlegm or mucus in the lungs as well, or dampness. Hemorrhoids, this also deals with the spleen. Hiccups, spleen and stomach. Irritable bowel, or IBS, spleen and stomach, and also liver with IBS. So usually in Chinese medicine, that's liver energy overacting on the spleen. And then we have lethargy and fatigue, like we had with the kidneys, because the kidneys and spleen also kind of like work with each other. Usually when you have spleen energy or qi deficiency, there's an element of kidney deficiency there as well. And then we have loose stools. Again, loose stools or food in the stools is undigested, excuse me. Then we have muscle weakness, what I talked about earlier, nausea and vomiting, poor memory, prolapse of the organs, usually like it's the intestines, and then worry and overthinking. So that's the worry, overthinking, pensiveness of the spleen. All right, so next we move on to the lungs and large intestines, wife and husband. So lungs, again, large intestine, yang. So symptoms of the lung and large intestine meridian imbalance. You have allergies dealing with the lungs. Most people, when they were children, if they had any type of respiratory issues, dealing with the lungs, they'll have skin issues as well. So, and that's dealing with like mainly like the lungs and also the large intestine as well, but more so the lungs. Then we have like arm, wrist, and elbow pain because the lungs and large intestine pass through like the wrist and elbows, dealing with the meridians or the channels. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, then we have asthma and bronchitis. So again, usually if a child has some type of respiratory issue when they're younger, like pneumonia, something like that, asthma, bronchitis, it manifests in the skin because the lungs open up into the skin. Okay, then we have like constipation, that's with the large intestine, and they can be constipation from weakness of qi in the large intestine, lungs, or sometimes it could be like large intestine heat as well, to where it's too much heat where it absorbs all of the fluid in the stool in its last stage of leaving the body, so it just stays in the intestine and causes constipation. Excuse me. Then we have like coughing, sneezing, and phlegm. You know, lungs, basically, with the phlegm, and I talked about the spleen, how it sends the phlegm up. If the spleen is weak, it's going to send that phlegm up into the lungs. And the lungs and spleen, they're yin pairs. I said I wouldn't touch on it, but I have to touch on it. They're yin pairs. So you can see the correlation. Then we have eczema, psoriasis, and rash. So what I just touched on a few minutes ago, dealing with the lungs, because the lungs open up into the skin in Chinese medicine. So if there's a history of lung issues or respiratory issues as a child, it'll manifest into skin issues in like teenage and adult years, but it can be resolved. Excuse me. Then you have flatulence. And then you have frequent colds. That's a weakness of the lungs. That's why it's very important to breathe deeply, which what we talked about and touched on a few minutes ago. You have to breathe deeply. Okay, frontal and sinus headaches. Again, dealing with the lungs and also the large intestine meridian, because it ends here. Starts here at the index finger, but ends like right here on the face. But then you have grief and sadness. So grief and sadness is the emotion that is detrimental to the lungs. So too much grief and sadness can manifest all of these symptoms here on this chart regarding meridian imbalance. Then you also have lethargy and fatigue, because with the lungs, that's where you take in your oxygen. You take in the oxygen, and that return blood flow to the heart, the deoxygenated blood has to be oxygenated. So that's where the gas exchange is in Western medicine. So if the lungs are weak, that gas exchange is going to be weak, and you're not going to oxygenate the return blood or the deoxygenated blood in that cardiopulmonary exchange, because veins bring blood to the heart, and the arteries send blood away from the heart to the body. Okay, but here we have okay, lethargy and fatigue, loose stools. That's especially dealing with the large intestine meridian, but it can also be lung and spleen, because again, lung and spleen, they're yin pairs, and then this large intestine and stomach, they're yang pairs. And then we have mucus, of course, the lungs, nasal problems, because the lungs opens up into the nose in Chinese medicine. We have shoulder pain because the beginning of the lung channel starts like right here in the anterior portion between the pectoral muscles, right underneath the collarbone, right where the anterior deltoid is. So right underneath that is like the first point, and then right underneath the collarbone, and here's like the second point on the lung channel. So shoulder pain, and on the large intestine channel, right here at the acromion process, that's on large intestine 15, shoulder problems. So if you needle any of those points, that will help alleviate shoulder problems in most cases. For me, I like to do distal points, but I digress. All right, sinusitis, again with the lungs and the nose, problems with smelling. Okay, these olfactory issues. And then we have stiff joints and stiff neck, dealing with the lung channels, because again, that's the bladder channel, but you could treat the bladder channel by treating the lungs. So if there's something going on with the lungs, that could cause like stiff neck, stiff joints as well. And then we have sweating all the time, and then weak voice. So a person who just talks real slow and just can't get that energy just to speak up. That's a deficiency in lung, also a deficiency in the spleen. Then you have wheezing and shortness of breath. So that's also attributed to the lungs. Okay, and lastly, we have the symptoms of a liver and gallbladder meridian imbalance. So what manifests there, first we have anger and irritability. So anger is the emotion that is detrimental to the liver. Okay, and with the liver with anger, they kind of play a role like people with certain mental health issues. There's always anger and depression. They go hand in hand, because with depression, that relates to the kidneys, and there is a generation cycle of the organs. So you can start with kidneys. Kidneys generate liver, liver generates heart, heart generates spleen, spleen generates lungs, lungs generates kidneys. So going back to the kidneys and liver, the kidneys is the mother of the liver. So the organ behind the first is like the mother of an organ. So the kidneys are the mother of the liver. So that's why they go hand in hand in Western medicine and mental health. So you have like the fear, and you also have like the depression and fear. So depression and fear, and anger and irritability, and anxiety, because anxiety should be here as, let's see, it's gotta be here. It's not here, but it's also anxiety. Depression is here also. So anger and irritability. So the anger is also part of the anxiety. It might be up in the heart. Yeah. But then you look at the heart, liver is the mother of the heart. So the liver generates the heart. But they go hand in hand. Anger, irritability, the anxiety, and depression. So anxiety is when your mind is in the future, things haven't manifested yet, but your mind is always there. And then the depression is your mind is always in the past. But the funny thing is, when you look at it quantumly in the present, they're still in the present because they're in the present manifesting those things. So it's about, again, regulating the emotions or the stress. Again, stress is like the number one killer and cause of disease in Western medicine. Number 1 and 2, heart disease and cancer. Okay. All right. So anger, irritability. Then we have breast tenderness, brittle and coarse nails and hair, bruising, depression, distension and bloating of the abdominal area. So that's where you have the liver and spleen disharmony, especially like with loose stools sometimes, and undigested food in the stool. So IBS as well. Usually when I balance liver and spleen and do some points in the small intestine area and adjust the diet, the root issue is solved. That's it. All right, we have eye and vision problems because the liver opens up into the eyes. So you can treat certain eye issues with points from the liver channel, especially between the first and second toe, especially underneath the foot too, the master dunk system. We have flatulence, again, with digestion. We have headaches, especially migraines, hemorrhoids, that deals with the spleen, liver. And the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of qi throughout the body. Then we have indigestion, irritable bowel, like what we saw in spleen symptoms. We have IT band tightness, so down the side of the leg, the IT band, because the gallbladder meridian runs down that IT band. Lack of flexibility, that also relates to the tendons and ligaments, because the liver is in charge of the tendons and ligaments in the body. So that's why it's good to stretch. And that's why it's always good to eat foods that are that nourishes the blood. If you don't nourish the blood, and which will nourish the liver, that's where also the brittle and coarse hair and nails is through the blood, through the liver blood. Okay, so lack of flexibility, the tendons, also the muscles as well, but the tendons. We have menstrual irregularities with the liver. The liver controls the female's menstrual cycle, but the kidneys also control the reproductive aspect of the womb. So the irregular menstrual cycles like amenorrhea, dysmenorrhea, things like that. Then we have migraines, nausea and vomiting, PMS, stiff neck and shoulders, tension and cramps. And then we have tinnitus or tinnitus, and that's that high pitch sound that you would hear in the ear, and people have it like constantly, especially like a lot of veterans who I treat. You know, it's like a constant high pitch in the ear, which takes a while to treat and to lower, but consistent treatment helps with that. So that's to share on the meridian imbalance, but it's like the organ imbalance as well. All right, and stop sharing here. Look in the chat. Yeah, Basira had said, yeah, beets. Yeah, beets are good for building blood, green leafy vegetables, arugula, romaine lettuce, things like that. They help to build like blood if you're a vegetarian. Yeah, beets, green leafy vegetables, helps to build the blood. But the thing is, it's not an overnight thing when you're building the blood. According to like science and Western medicine, it takes at least 3 months for your body to produce mature blood cells, and also to elicit the change. And as And it's also programming the cells too. When the more you take in this food, the more you reprogramming your cells. So when the old cells die off, they die and they turn into bilirubin and it goes back to the liver, and then the body gets rid of the bilirubin inside of the body. So that way, when you eat the foods that your body needs to produce what it needs to produce, um, it will help your body to sustain like optimum health. So yes, beets, green leafy vegetables, those are the main ones. And you can easily Google um, foods in like Chinese medicine that builds blood. And of course, you have herbs too that builds blood as well. Okay, which I won't go into now. So let me go back to the other document. Yeah, this one here. All right, so we left off at internal alchemy. And let's go down to the three treasures. Three treasures. The Qi-Gong, it nourishes the three treasures of the body, the Jing, which is the essence, mainly like your sexual essence. The Jing is your sexual essence, and that's also the essence that you receive from your parents, the 23 chromosomes from your mother, 23 chromosomes from your dad. That makes up your essence. It makes up your constitution. So if a child is like born weak and feeble, you know, maybe the dad was a party animal, did a lot of stuff he wasn't supposed to do, ingesting things, smelling things, smoking things. Same thing with the females. That really messes up the constitution of the child during conception. So that is the Jing. So if you have two healthy parents who were eating right, eating well, didn't consume a lot of stuff that they're not supposed to, they'll have a healthy, statistics show they'll have a healthy child. That child will have a lot of energy and a lot of energy to take on into adulthood as well. Could be more like virile sexually as well regarding the men. Same thing with the females. They have like a lot of sexual energy built up, and that energy is also transformed. If it's not used, you can transform that energy to Qi, which is your life energy, movement, breath, vitality, organ function. And then from there, we have Shen, the spirit, clarity, awareness, emotional balance. So, like in Qi-Gong, you want to transform that Jing to Qi, and then you transform that Qi to Shen with cultivation. So that's why it's good to, there's this big, talk on the internet. Yeah, with men, saying no fat and semen retention. Yes, but you have to cultivate that energy. You just can't say I'm just not gonna retain my semen and that's it. Men have to cultivate that energy, have to cultivate and transform that energy into Qi, and you cultivate that Qi into Shen, and that will like manifest more things for a male. Yes, the retention is good to a certain extent because you still manifest, but when you do these exercises, you manifest more, the manifestation is stronger, and you don't run the risk of health issues, because you can develop health issues if you just hold and not cultivate, or hold and not release. That's been scientifically proven as well to an extent, but they haven't gotten to the Jing, Qi, and Shen, the transforming of the energy. That's a must. That's been known for thousands of years. Pre-China, that goes back to Africa, to Shechem, transforming the Shechem, or in like India with the Dravidians being there, the prana. That's where all that stuff comes from, and with females as well. They have cultivation exercises. But most cultivation exercises are like male dominant. So a good um, person to contact or read regarding like female energy is Master Leo Trey. You know, Leo Trey, she's in California. So she's a good resource, and her cultivation methods are strictly based for a woman. Because, for example, if a male and female doing the same cultivation exercises, um, and the woman is on their cycle, they should and as they're closed, they never close and seal that energy in their dantian while they're on their cycle. They should always close it in the heart. And that's not explained in like the qigong circles. A woman, if they're on a cycle, they close and finish the exercise, close and end here in the heart. Males can always do it down by the navel or the lower dantian. The heart is the middle dantian, and here is the upper dantian. So yeah, so that's in regards to cultivation. Leo Cha, she's pretty good. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find one of her videos for the sisters in the dark. Hold on. Starflies. It's Master Leo Ha, not Chia. Leo Ha. So actually, hold on one second. Let me see if I can take this off. Okay, here we go. Master Leo Ha. So any females like really want to get into like female cultivation, this is one of her videos. One of my colleagues had trained with her. She's real good. One of my colleagues who lives in Peru, she's out in like Cambodia, China, doing her seminars right now. But her stuff is good. I have her book too somewhere around here in a few of her videos. Let's go back to the chat. Okay, so her name is Master Liu He. So Liu, Liu, and then He spelled He, like he, but in Pinyin it's pronounced He. So Liu He, Liu, and then He, Liu He. And she's in California. I believe she's still teaching. And and the name of her school is Lingwei International Healing Qigong School. So it's Ling, Ling, Gui, Gui, and then International Healing Qigong School. So her stuff is real good, mainly for females. That she learned from her grandfather, the story behind it. I think it's her grandfather had learned like both methods, learning like the male and female cultivation. Excuse me. All right, so balanced cultivation of the Jing, Qi, and Shen leads to health, stability, and spiritual refinement. But again, the main tenet is Jing to Qi, Qi to Shen for both males and females. But the thing is, with most Qigong systems, they're male dominant. It is focused on the male all the time. Things male, 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 male. But there are circles that have like female Qigong for the females. There's one other person, um, Damo Mitchell, his wife has a book on female Qigong, but I like her stuff. Her stuff is more to me. Well, I like her stuff, put it that way. That's why that would be the go-to, I would suggest. All right, so now we're moving on to the benefits and applications. And we touched on how to practice a bit too. So health benefits of Qigong, because scientific research and centuries of traditional knowledge confirm wide-ranging benefits. It's not even centuries, it's like millennials. Okay, physical health, improve cardiovascular function, reduce inflammation, stronger immune system, enhance balance and coordination, greater flexibility and joint mobility, better digestion and organ function, increase bone density and postural strength. That's in regards to the physical health, but it treats all of the organs. So we just went over all of the organ meridians, the yin and yang pairs. So it does with the right combination, and that's from an acupuncture chart. Qigong is like much stronger than acupuncture. When you're doing like self-cultivation, Qigong is much stronger. Or if you have like a Qigong doctor like myself, sometimes when I have patients where I don't use needles, it's just Qigong. Sometimes I do remote treatments as well, meaning a person could be anywhere. They could be in Jersey, Philly, Florida, Texas, Mexico, China, Peru, Russia, London, Sudan, Tuba. It doesn't matter. That's remote healing. So yeah, so that doesn't use any needles. That's remote. And then I have like in-person healing as well. And like I said, my Qigong, medical Qigong teacher, he was the first to establish a medical Qigong university accredited by the United States government, and I think it's China. I think it was going through Nanjing at a point in time, maybe like 12 years ago. And oncology, that was a specialty. And one of the stories he told us while he was working with the oncology doctors there, they was asking him, what are you doing and how are you doing this to where like the tumors are shrinking and disappearing? So he said he taught maybe two of them on how to shrink tumors, because there's like cultivation exercises you do and like certain palm techniques you can do, like thunder palm technique, crushing palm, vibrating palm techniques. And that's all out of like iron palm training as well. But you can cultivate that in about 90 days. So he taught, I think, two of the physicians, and it showed them how to dissolve, tumors as you shake and vibrate over the area where the tumor is. And over, 6 weeks, the tumors were like disappearing, almost gone. And it was like, Dr. Johnson, how does this work? And I told you it works. And he's like, yeah, go tell all your other colleagues. And they're like, no, we'll be the laughing stock. See that ego thing right there? They'll be the laughing stock amongst their allopathic colleagues. But yet then again, they were taught how to shrink and dissolve tumors. Go figure. All right, so yeah, physical health. So it treats all of the organs. Everything that I listed on the acupuncture chart, Qigong does that and better and more. I like them old commercials. Those old commercials when they give you a deal and then you think they're getting ready to give you the price, and they're like, oh, wait, there's more. So they give you more on top of that with the Qigong. And the thing is, with learning a system of Qigong, you can treat yourself. You're your own physician when you're treating yourself. Forgive me, start for a while. My throat is dry for some reason. I think it's my heat, because it's cold down here in Georgia. All right, so we have mental and emotional health. Dramatically reduces stress and anxiety, emotional regulation and calmness, increased resilience to daily pressures, improved concentration and mental clarity. So again, Tai Chi, I mean, Harvard has a Tai Chi book. I don't think I have it in this room. We have it in my other room. Yeah, Harvard has a Tai Chi book that they've written, all of the scientific studies that they've done. And like a few of my colleagues out there in California, they were flying back and forth to Harvard for a period of time for about a year and a half, where Harvard was gathering information with my medical Qi-Gong, my Chinese energetic medicine doctor colleagues, through Dr. Johnson, and just compiling information on how it reduces stress and anxiety. Actually, it basically gets rid of it. But sometimes you have to like change your environment. If not, you really have to do the work to purge whatever you need to purge and get into like the mental aspect and the mental health aspect of like the Qigong. And so even when I do the acupuncture, a lot of people come in with stress and anxiety. I mean, like stress and anxiety to where, you know, they couldn't sleep at night. And then when they get in the office, you know, after maybe one or two treatments, they're like out on the table, just out. And then they come in the next week, go back in, just do like a follow up. How has the week been? How's your sleep been? And it's like a dramatic improvement just with the needles alone. So even and they're not even doing qigong. So imagine you doing your qigong. It's going to help your body to heal itself, and the body can heal itself of anything. I remember I used to listen to Deepak Chopra back in the days, like 95, 96. Remember, he's an Ayurvedic medicine doctor, and he's an endocrinologist. He was the head of endocrinology at the one of the hospitals in Massachusetts, and they were doing a study on the body, especially with oncology patients, how he was saying that the body, when you put your mind to it, the person their mind to it, their body can produce any prescription it needs to heal itself. So they were talking about oncology and cancer and interleukins and the white blood cells. And when a person had put their mind into healing themselves, they created more macrophages to eat those dead cells and interleukins and so on and so forth, to where they're like, quote unquote, you know, got rid of what was inside of them. And that's coming. I have the lecture on audio tape somewhere, and I think I have it on like an external drive, one of my old external drive that you got to plug into the wall for power. But anyways, all right. And then moving on, we have energetic and spiritual benefits, of course, stronger chi flow throughout the meridians, heightened internal awareness, greater sense of connection with self and environment, deepen meditation, deepen meditation and presence. So when you do these cultivation exercises for a while, you're gonna and you're consistent with it, you're gonna experience manifestations. Like when we do our zikrs, we have the manifestations. It's the same thing with this. You're gonna have these manifestations of, you know, seeing things and thinking you saw things, but you did see things. But everything of what this third dimensional world, what you think it is not what you think it is when you start having these manifestations. So it's the same thing with the Qi-Gong. You'll have manifestations. Okay. And let's see. And let's move on to conclude to Qigong in modern life. Okay, like in this high stress world, Qigong is an antidote for chronic tension, fatigue, anxiety, also physical ailments, mental ailments, spiritual ailments as well. It offers a portable practice you can do anywhere, meaning if you have to travel, there's no excuse. If you don't have to travel, no excuse. Okay, it's a method for grounding and centering. You're always grounded and centered once you're consistent with your practice. So there's a sustainable long-term path to health and vitality, indeed, and your health will only continue to like, and vitality will continue to like increase as you as you do the exercises. Okay, and then we have these, it's a non-impact safe exercises for all ages. Qigong, no. I would want to say no. Qigong, meditation for children, yes. And breathing exercises, but to give them like a Qigong practice, no, they're better off as their children to expend that energy and do like kung fu or like taekwondo or hapkido, wrestling and jujitsu to kind of like burn that energy because most children have a lot of energy to burn. And then when they hit puberty, that's when they can, I would say, they can study qigong because the hormones are starting to settle into the body. Like around 14, 15, 16 is when I would say it's safe for them to do like qigong, or they can incorporate the qigong with whatever martial art that they're doing. Okay. Here again, we talk about stress. Stress is often called this quote unquote silent killer in Western health sciences, allopathic medicine. As Qigong directly regulates that stress, regulates the nervous system, shifting the body from fight or flight to relaxation and repair. So when you're laying in bed and your mind is in fight or flight, always just like ruminating, that's a symptom of fight or flight as well. Ruminating. And when a certain thought triggers, there's like that fight or flight response is there. Even when you're trying to go to sleep or trying to quicken the body so it can recover, that's not normal. But society makes it that way to make it appear that it's normal, which is not normal. Okay. So again, the Qigong does a lot. There's another story I'll give you with this one lady. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia. She was on YouTube like 15 years ago, and I was following her. She practiced Bhagavatam, 8 trigrams on palm. And she was documenting her practice while she was trying to get off her meds. I'm not advocating anything like that, but I'm just giving you a story. And then over a period of time, I would say over 6 months, she was on the road to like, regulating her mind to where she didn't need what they gave her through Bhagavatam. And then over a period of time, somehow they took down her channel, like 2006, something like 2007, somewhere around there. Yeah, so since I was training Bhagavad, I saw her channel. And all she did is like her forms and walk in a circle and her postures. And got rid of what she needed to get rid of. And then they got rid of her channel. Okay. Right. So landing the plane, how to begin practicing Qigong. It depends on the Qigong program one is practicing. It depends. You should find a qualified teacher as well. Consistent practice builds strong and desired results that you need. Okay. Focus on relaxation, not effort. So song in opinion because relaxed or relaxation. And they say not effort. Yeah, there's a little bit of effort, but not a straining effort in regards to like your breathing or like your movements or your dynamic postures. So Qigong is not about pushing. Like the less tension you carry, the more Qi you can move. That is true. You have to be relaxed. Okay, pay attention to posture. Again, that's key. Upright, relaxed, and aligned. I think in the past I talked about the 18 rules of Taoist posture a long time. One of I think first lecture or second lecture a while back. Sink the chest, spread the back, 2 tucks, tuck the butt in, tuck the chin in, 2 pushes. The lower back pushes back and down 45 degrees, and then the top of the head pushes up, and the hips stay heavy, shoulders relax, knees are soft. So that's like a shortcut to the 18 rules of Taoist posture or proper posture. And then you let the breath guide the movement, soft, slow, and smooth. And of course, there's intention as well. And You're returning to stillness or Wu Qi. So when you end each session, by standing or sitting quietly in like quiescence to allow the Qi to settle. So you want to, as you return to stillness, remember I talked about with females, if they're on their cycle, they close it, exercise at the heart center. If they're not on their cycle, they could close it at the stomach or lower dantian or navel center. And the males always close at the navel center. And then you just sit in quiet or sit in quiescence to let the Qi settle. You store it. When you're closing, you're storing the Qi as well. You let it settle in the lower dantian. And then we have learn from a qualified instructor. If possible, you have to. Correct guidance prevents mistakes, accelerates growth. You don't want any Qi deviations or forcing the breath or things like that. You don't want to create any deviations because sometimes they're hard to correct, to where you're seeing like colors flash in the corner of your eye. When you close your eyes, you're still seeing colors and flashes that drive you crazy. Anyways, all right, you heal. Yeah, imagination leads the mind leads to Qi. Yes. Okay. So even if you're just focusing on Dantian, you're imaging. It's not like you're pretending like something is there. It's an imagination. So it's the image that you're focusing on as well. Even if you want to create a ball between your hands, it's an image, and you think and feel, and eventually when you start to pulse, you'll feel that ball between your hands. You'll feel it contract. You'll feel it expand. So imagination leads to mind leads to Qi. You heal what you feel. So you already know what you're feeling in your body. When you feel your Qi and you want to do like healing on certain ailments that's going on with your body, you got to be able to feel your Qi as well. And all right, and finally, the essence in a single phrase. Qigong is a practice of cultivating life through mindful movement, breath, and awareness. That is extra attention again, I like to stress. It is simple enough for mostly anyone to begin, yet deep enough to explore for a lifetime. Yes, it's a lifetime of practice, but it's not for every and anyone, especially like young children, or like internal arts like Tai Chi, Bagua Xingyi. That's like internal arts, unless they have a good teacher. Usually, like with internal martial artists, when they'll start their children out in like the internal arts, but they know what they're doing in regards to cultivating that art in the children. But just like the average person, yeah, I would like meditation is good. Focus and concentration and meditation. Looking at an orange, having a child sit and look at an orange, and then close your eyes and look at the orange in the mind's eye. That will work on like a concentration exercise until the orange in the mind's eye fades. And at the same time, just breathe slowly, and then they can like open their eyes, look at the orange again, or an apple, or whatever it is. Close your eyes and hold it in the mind's eye. So that's a good like concentration slash or combination meditation exercise for children. All right, so I will end sharing the screen and look at the chat. Yeah, Gui P. Gui P1, that's more like a spleen tone. It's like a tonifier, maybe for digestion, but Gui P is a great herb to relax a little bit. Yeah, it definitely is. Gui P1 or Gui P tongue formula. All right. And now I will open for Q&A.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Grand Sheikh. What's good?
I mean, all is well. Enjoyed your presentation, Doctor, as always. And just to act as a witness to what you're speaking on, Qi-Gong. being efficient. My mother, this past Saturday, turned 80. She practiced Qigong as a result of my suggestion some time ago. They were going to, she had, at one time, she had a lot of heart palpitations, and they were looking to do surgery on her and put a stent in her heart. And I suggested that she take up a practice, either Tai Chi or Qigong. She fast forward to this day, she does not have that surgery. She moves with no problems, no issues. She doesn't move with a cane. You know, she moves like she's in her 60s. So alhamdulillah, just wanted to say that the Qigong is the truth. But my question I wanted to ask you, doctor, is in relationship to the elements. I know that, you know, Sheikh Sufi Ba has given us a practice in relationship to the four elements. I know that there's a slight variation with the Chinese system and the elements. Can you elaborate on the connection between Qigong and the elements?
Yes, alhamdulillah, the mom as well. Yeah, she's probably walking and moving like the wind.
I mean, indeed, indeed.
Yeah, yeah. So with the elements in Chinese medicine, you have liver is the wood element. The color is green. The heart is the fire element. The color is red. The spleen is the earth element. So that color is like yellow or like a gold color. The lungs is metal, and that's white or like a silverish white color. And then you have the kidneys, which is dark blue or like that midnight sky blue, or sometimes they say black, but I like that midnight sky blue. And the element is water. So that is the difference. But the Tibetans have their own system as well in regards to colors and the elements as well. But it works in that system. So even if you were studying like Sufism and you went and did like a Tibetan Buddhist like exercise, it will still work. You just have to have your mind frame on what you're focusing on at that particular time. So if you're doing Tibetan exercises, you're doing Tibetan exercises. So like yeah, this is one of my books when getting my Tibetan priest ordination. Was the last this past February. Yeah, so the colors are different. So you just have to focus on whatever you focus on. So if you're doing like Taoism or like Tai Chi, anything dealing with like the Chinese systems of the martial arts or the Qi-Gong or Qi-Gong, you focus on the colors of those organs and don't mix and match. So if you want to do like Qi-Gong or Qi-Gong, one that, you know, at 8 a.m., the Taoist exercise, you do it. Then at like even in the evening for 6 o'clock, you want to do like the exercise that Sheikh Sufi gave us. You keep your focus and intention there to do the exercises according to how it is prescribed. Then at 9 o'clock, if you want to do your Tibetan exercises, you focus on the Tibetan exercises. And that's how it works. So those are the colors and elements in regards to Chinese medicine or Taoist medicine.
I mean, Shukran.
I mean, any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Bismillah.
Bismillah.
There's I've experienced a lot of trauma and separation from my body over the years, and it's only now that I'm engaging my body, and I'm half a century. And so, can you give like a exercise that's like something that I can start as far as the Qigong is concerned? Like, can you give me a recommendation to start something not too complicated that will bring great benefit? Just to get me started, like a breathing exercise.
Yeah, I can give you a purging exercise. It's called the old man searching for the pearl in the tide pool. So this is one of the exercises that we would prescribe like an oncology patient or a person that has like been through a lot of trauma, because usually like when oncology excuse me, sorry for that. I need to turn down my heat. So like oncology patients that we treat, we'll give them purging exercises. This is the most simple one. And if this doesn't work, then we move them up to something else. But for you, this is called Old Man Searching for the Pearl in a Tide Pool. And you'll do this exercise for 25 minutes until you break. So keep a composition book near you until you break. And that's going to help to break a lot of that trauma. You may start crying, you may start, if you have a therapist, you might need to talk to your therapist too when things start to open up, and you document everything. And once you document everything in that book could be your throw-up book. But once you document on a certain page, just flip that page and don't go back to that page. Excuse me, until you fill that book up, or if all the trauma is dissolved. Once you have everything in that book completed and your trauma is dissolved, burn the book. And use a number 2 pencil as well. Don't use a pen. Because the number 2 pencil, the pencil is the wood element. And like a lot of the wood element also deals with the liver, which is like anger. A lot of trauma, there's anger related to trauma, there's fear related to trauma as well. Anxiety related to trauma. So that's like all liver, heart, and kidneys. So that pencil is like your throw-up instrument to get all that stuff out of the body, because there's a connection of the wood element of the pencil, then the wood element of the paper, the composition book as well. So when you're discharging that energy into the paper, and once you finish documenting, flip that page and don't go back and read it. You can talk to your therapist about it, but don't go back and read it. So, Old Man in the Tide Pool. Let's see if I can get a full picture here. All right, so what you want to do, you want to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. I don't think I want you to see my face too. You want to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. And what you want to do, you want to inhale, raise the arms to about shoulder height here. And then you continue to inhale, extend the arms out. Then what you want to do, you keep the knees soft and bent slightly. Then you bend at the waist, like so. And then you're going to move the arms. There's going to be a slight bounce here as well as you move the arms. And as you move the arms, you're going to make the sound shh. That's H, like shh. Until you're almost out of breath. So, all right, so break it down in phases. So I'm going to inhale, then shh. Then you're going to come up and inhale. Shorten myself here. You're going to inhale. Then you're going to make a fist with both hands, starting with the index finger closing first, middle, ring, small finger, and then thumb. Then you're going to drop the elbows, and you're going to make the ha sound, H-A. So it's going to be a long, drawn out ha, until it gets to, your fist gets to your shoulders. Then you're going to make the sound like H-O. Okay. And then come up again. Inhale. So it's a continuous exhalation. Inhale up again. Exhale. So that's 3. Then we start over again. Inhale up. Out. Then. Inhale up. That's 3. Start it over again. So every third, do 3, start over again. Inhale up, out. So it's a continuous inhale. So inhale. Inhale up. Do that for 25 minutes. So set your timer on your phone. Also, as you come down and do the turn the fist, the knuckles to face you, you do the sound. 25 minutes, no less.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Every day, don't skip a day.
Yeah, got it. I'll report back.
You got to report back to me in 30 days.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Any other questions?
Bismillah, my brother. You mentioned something about something causing tension and muscle tightness. And right now I'm dealing with an extreme amount of tension and muscle tightness in the calf of my left leg. So much so that it's really hard to straighten that leg.
Yeah,
what can I do to let all that tension go?
You could do cramp bark, an herb called cramp bark. But you said if it's in your left, you said it's your left calf.
Yeah.
All right. You could like acupressure, or if you have like a terminated point crystal on your right elbow, but inside right here, right by the bone, a chromium bone here, you can press in there and at the same time kind of flex, dorsiflex and plantar flex the foot to kind of stretch the calf. So you like something like a point, not a sharp point, but like a some crystals will have a terminated point, or you can just use your finger as well and just relax the elbow, press in and shake and straighten, kind of like flex the foot and plantar flex and dorsiflex the foot, which is going to stretch the calf. I mean, you can try it now and see.
So we're gonna press. I don't have a crystal.
Yeah, inside the right elbow. If you're having the pain on the cramping on the left side, press like right by the bone here. So here's the bone inside the elbow. Like there's like a little dip or a gap right here.
Okay.
Press in there and then try it.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I do feel it down there.
Yeah. So if you have like I said, like a terminated crystal, like a selenite that makes it have pretty good crystal, you could use the selenite there and just to do that for about 5 minutes, and that should help alleviate that pain, get rid of that pain and cramping. So you got to see what's the deal with the cramping. So again, that goes with the spleen that we talked about earlier, because the spleen controls the muscles in the body. Yeah, spleen controls the muscles, and since it's been tight, if you have like a foam roller, once you press and do that, then you could like kind of like bridge yourself, or just even like lay in your bed, you can put the foam roller underneath. It's kind of like move your leg to kind of loosen up the calf muscles, because the calf muscles contains two heads, and they also terminate into the Achilles tendon, because tendons connect muscle to bone, and ligaments connect
When
bone.
you say two heads, what does that mean?
The two heads of like your calf muscles, I forgot the name, forgot but there's two, like your biceps, they say you have two heads of your bicep, a long head and a short head. It's the same thing with the calf muscles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, my brother.
All right, you're welcome. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns before we conclude? If not, I would like to thank you all for your time.
Assalamu alaikum. I just want to say, give thanks for the presentation. All I say, you show improve. I like how you ask a question and you give a solution. And then I just want to say, Doc helped me out with my knee. When I run out of product, I got to get more product from Doc so I get an X-ray.
Let me know.
I just want to bear witness. He helped me out too. Yeah, Doc helped me out too with my knee. Salam alaikum. Give thanks.
Yeah, let me know. I'll send you something. Don't worry about it. Let me know. You re-up.
Give thanks, Doc. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Too.
All right, so there's no other questions. Sheikh Mustafa, do you want to close us out, or you want me to close us out? Not sure.
Bismillah, give thanks, doctor. Give thanks, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Just want to thank you first and foremost. Inshallah, we'll touch base later. Inshallah, we want to bless you. We'll touch base at the class. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
But yes, please, if you close us out, and then if nobody has any questions or comments, is everybody clear on the information? We definitely want to just appreciate you breaking it down, the metaphysical, physiological, mystical, lyrical stuff from the Chinese, and giving us the Chinese medicine. I know some people shy away from the Chinese medicine, or it's maybe intimidating, or it's hard to, kind of grasp, and yeah, we definitely appreciate you breaking down the various levels of Qi today. I was going to ask that you spoke about the Jin, the Qi, and the Shin. Inshallah. So we appreciate that breakdown.
Right.
We'll definitely touch base soon, Dr. B.S. Please close us out with your choice prayers, and many salams to you and salams to the family, inshallah.
Inshallah. Shukran. Alhamdulillah. Yes. Okay. So one book for, go ahead, Sheikh Sally. Go ahead.
Mustafa, I know. I just wanted to make one more comment. Shukran Allah was very informative and very helpful, and expand knowledge for the little bit of knowledge I had on Qi-Gong. I can go back. I mean, Qi-Gong. Refer back to it was just so informative. Give thanks. Give thanks.
And with that, yeah, Sheikh Sally, we encourage everyone to reach out to the doctor, inshallah. If you're in the WhatsApp chat, or doctor, if you want to leave an email for people to contact you, inshallah, then
WhatsApp is best.
Okay.
That's the easiest way. The emails, I'll let it go like 24 hours before I check, and I got like 200 emails to check, so I check it like every other day, because I'm busy at the clinic and then doing remote treatments as well. So yeah, WhatsApp is the best way to contact me, because I have WhatsApp on my laptop and I have WhatsApp on my phone, so there's no escaping, and I have the alerts on my laptop and my phone. I don't have the Gmail alerts on my mail. It's too much. Yeah, it's too much.
I mean, well, if someone watches this on the YouTube at a later date and wants to reach out to you, reach out to the Darrah, and we'll definitely liaison, send a link to you, inshallah. Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmad. All praises.
Walaikum assalam. All right. Oh, I want to share one book. It's for the layman, the laywoman. It's called The Web That Has No Weaver. The web, like a spider web, the web, THEWEB, THAT, that has HAS, no, NO, Weaver, WEAVER, the web that has no weaver. It's by Ted, TED, Kapchuk. I think it's KAPTCHUCK. It breaks down like Chinese medicine and the traditional Chinese medicine for the lay person. I had about like 6 copies I gave away when I was matriculating in schools. I had bought a bunch of them off of Amazon, and I would have them in the clinic, and people would inquire, and I'll just give them away. So I have like 1 copy left, but it's still on Amazon. I think it's like revised too. But Ted Kapchuk, The Web That Has No Weaver. If you want to learn about Chinese medicine, it's not intimidating. It's not going to go into any herbs and formulas and all this other stuff. It's going to break everything down the way how I broke it down. And it goes more in detail because it's like a 260-page book, or maybe more. Yeah. All right, so I'll close this out. Let's see, Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. صلاة الفاتحة. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهدي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. And we put the seal on it. Salatul Kursi. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. La ta'khuzuhu sinatun wa la nawm. Lahu ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. Man zalazi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'izni. Ya'lamu ma bayna aydihim wa ma khalfahum. Wa la yuhituna bi shay'in min ilmihi bima sha'a. Wasi'a kursiyuhu samawati wal ard. Wala yaudu iftahuma wa huwa al-aliyyul azim. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, fam. Appreciate y'all for coming out, supporting, and y'all have a blessed and wonderful night, productive night, safe life, peace, health, wealth, love, prosperity, abundance in all aspects in your life. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Salam. Doc.
Dr.
Shakra.
Salam. Amen Allah. Shukran.